All right, guys. So Switzerland 2, USMNT 1. Not a very good performance today from the team, especially in that second half. And we're going to talk about it. And I'll get into the exact details of why I think we were poor. But a lot of it comes down to some very, very basic principles that I didn't see from this team today. Okay. And we'll get into it. Thankfully, this was a friendly and not a competitive game, because I would have been very, very unhappy seeing that, especially that second half in a competitive game. Filippo, I think, is just running to the bathroom, and he'll be here in just a second. But boy, do we have a lot to talk about. How's everybody feeling, guys? Did you guys enjoy the game? Did it end up going on ESPN, guys, or was it on? Or did you have to watch it on TUDN? Guys, tell me where you ended up watching the game. I don't know why ESPN didn't show it, or if they did, they didn't show it on the ESPN I was watching. I had to end up watching it on TUDN, which honestly was probably a better choice. Oh, it was on ESPN? That's weird, because on Fubo TV, it didn't show on ESPN. So let's get into the game. Filippo's here. Man, how's your throat? How are you feeling?
Oh, my God. Tomorrow I need to just, Memorial Day, I'm just going to relax. 3 hours. Relax.
Yeah. So, guys, really, really poor second half. And there are two things about that second half that I want to talk about specifically. What do you think about the second half or the game in general? Give me your quick thoughts on the game, Filippo.
So, obviously, I need to digest a lot of things. But to start, first half, very good. I think we outplayed Switzerland pretty well. Second half, our level dropped a lot. Even when we still had the same exact starting 11, the level dropped a lot. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the altitude. That worries me a little bit. They dropped quite a bit. I think one thing that was quite clear is our fullbacks on defense. Once again, it's even Reggie Cannon, to be fair. It's not like he's the best defender. Tim Ream is unusable at this point. Slow. Couldn't react to not just the goal from Dest's mistake. There was another through ball that he just couldn't react fast enough. Fortunately, the striker missed the goal. Those are my first reactions to the game. The second half was just not good, and I didn't like the fact that he played certain players like Weston McKenzie, Dest, the full 90 minutes. I don't know what he was doing. Reyna played up to the 70-something.
Reyna and Sargent, and a lot of these guys played too many minutes. Okay. Yeah. Look, here's what I did not enjoy from that second half. It seems like this is a team that is very talented with the ball and always wants to, when they get the ball, you see them looking bright and inventive, trying to create. But almost nothing has been done or talked about or set up to discuss what happens when we lose the ball. Because when we lose the ball, we look like nobody wants to take responsibility. We look casual. We look sloppy. We look very fragile when we lose possession of the ball. And that is not good enough. Every single player on that field in the second half was terrible outside of Ethan Horvath. If it wasn't for Ethan Horvath, this would have been a whole lot more than it was. Okay? And Dest was poor. Brooks was poor. I don't even want to get into individuals yet, because before we even talk about individuals, when we lose possession of the ball, no one's taking responsibility. There's no organization. The defensive transition is poor. You don't see, and they're turning and blaming each other when things are not going well. I saw Dest in the second half. Hey, how come blah, 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 blah. I don't see that. Brooks. Yes, Brooks was terrible in that second half. I don't see the cohesion of a team that goes, we're going to be good with the ball, and then when we lose possession, we're going to be compact. We're going to retreat into our block. We're going to defend well. We're going to win it and go. And I don't see that. I don't see anybody on that field taking responsibility for what happens when we lose the ball. And if it's 2 or 3 players, that's one thing. But when it's everybody, that makes me think this is a team mentality issue. And who is that on? When the whole team is playing a certain way, who's that on? You there, Filippo? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I froze.
Yeah, it's a coach problem. Okay, it feels to me, and I don't want to overreact to this friendly, guys. I'm emotional, but it feels to me that we've spent so much time talking about disorganizing the opponent with the ball that we've neglected the basics of defending. What do we do when we lose the ball? Because guess what? If we do that against Honduras, we may lose. They don't have as much quality as Switzerland, but it only takes one good counterattack, and now we've conceded a goal 1-0 down, right? If we do that against Mexico, we're definitely going to lose.
And Pete, two things that we noticed in this game that we've been saying this before. The one thing, the midfield depth. So yes, our quality went down a lot by not having Tyler Adams and not having, I guess, Eunice Musa. Eunice Musa didn't play that many minutes, but he looks a heck lot better than Leggett, even though
for sure. And look, performances, man, there were some good, some bad. We can talk about them. We'll get into that. But I just want to really highlight this issue that there's an arrogance to this team. Maybe it's because they're all playing in Europe and they're winning trophies at a high level, that they think they don't have to do the job when we lose the ball. If we are not defensively compact, if we do not know how to retreat, if we do not take responsibility for defending, when we lose possession, we will not be a good team. That is the basics and the fundamentals of the game, and we have to keep that in mind even when we have the ball.
And let's point out two things too, Pete, that I'm starting to process the game. Two things to point out as well. We've been complimenting Burhalter being undefeated in 2021 and how in 2020 he won. This is the first tough opponent we faced. We lost, and we could have lost by more. And yeah, we were missing Pulisic and Adams, but they also took out Shaqiri at halftime. They didn't also play. So this is the first tough opponent we faced. We lost. It was only 2-1, but like Pete said, Ethan Horvath saved it from not being 4.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Ethan Horvath, by the way. We're going to get to that. Maybe we can do ratings of the players.
We'll do ratings of the players.
The second thing to point out is, have you guys noticed how our goals, the goals we allow, obviously not overall similar, but the pattern is similar. Usually one of our fullbacks is high attacking. He doesn't track back, which it's okay. That can happen quite a bit. We don't have any coverage. John Brooks is pointing fingers at Dest at that play that they almost scored. So that is a coaching problem. Burhalter has to see that issue. It's like, look, Serginho Dest, Robinson, whoever's playing, they don't track back very well. We know that by now. Everybody knows that by now. What am I going to do about it as a coach? Am I going to go 3 defenders in the back? Am I going to put a guy, not Kelna Costa or Jackson Yeo? They're not going to cover that. They don't know how to do that. Kelna Costa was a disaster again, by the way. On the limited minutes he played, it was terrible. The pattern of goals we allow are always the same. So the fullbacks do worry me because Burhalter doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah. So apart from the mentality, Filippo, which I've just spoken about, and our mentality of what we do when we lose the ball, and also our mentality of we don't feel like a team. I keep hearing about all the togetherness in camp, right? But what I see togetherness on the field is when we lose the ball or something goes wrong or it doesn't come off, we don't start blaming each other. What I see from togetherness is, hey, it's all right. Don't worry about it. You get the next one. That's togetherness. That is cohesion. What I'm seeing from this team is when things are not going well, the hands go up. Hey, come on. Like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. When you start doing that, this team has lost spirit. Like, that's not togetherness. And I can't be watch that on my TV, watch them start blaming each other when things aren't going well. I can't see that.
It kind of looks like that couple that puts on Instagram a bunch of happy pictures, but they're truly like fighting constantly and getting into fights. But on Instagram, everyone looks like, look at that trip they made to Cancun. They look so happy there. Or look at that date night that they had the other day. So yeah, the pictures that the USMNT account puts on their Instagram, they're all so happy and they're hugging and they're having fun on the snow. But we don't know what actually is going on there. And the one person I talked about, there are some frustrations that they talked about in regards to Burhalter's decision in a couple things. And I guess we saw today in the field, the players didn't seem as united as they normally seem.
They really didn't. And that's concerning to me. That's really concerning because the U.S. has always had spirit, right? We may have lacked technical ability, but the one thing you could always say, I mean, not the Cuba team, I'm saying before that, the one thing you could always say about the U.S. is we were going to be very strong mentally. We were going to defend well. We were going to help each other and then try to hit people on the counterattack. Now we're changing, right? We're becoming a more technical, dominant attacking team, and that's great. That's what we all want to see. But we cannot lose sight of the mentality of what is going on the field, How do we react when things are not going our way? And too often today, I saw poor reactions, okay? The other thing was a tactical switch in the second half that Switzerland made that Burhalter didn't react to, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, Paul Monroy. Got to factor that these are all young guys who may still have a mindset that's not matured yet. Absolutely, Paul. I agree with you. They're very young guys. But you know whose job that is then to say, this is not okay, this is not acceptable? That's on Burhalter. Because if you're the coach with a very young team like this, you have to be the guy that says, hey, that's not okay, guys. We can't behave like that. Like, I'm sorry, we can't. And guess what? John Brooks is supposed to be the leader and the most experienced guy, 10 years, professional, played at a World Cup. You know, he's supposed to be one of the leaders on this team. To see him being so casual defensively and to see him pointing fingers when things aren't going away did not make me happy at all. But yeah, you're right, Paul. They are young, and that is something that needs to be a mindset that needs to be ground into them. But that's on the coach to do, because if the coach doesn't demand it, then it's not going to sink in. Okay? But yeah,
they're also not kids. Let's remember, they all play in big teams. They have a lot of pressure. They play with some very mature players. They know better to not – like John Brooks is – I remember that right now. John Brooks goes to the play in a very lazy way, and Bolo just takes him over. And instead of him like, crap, I messed up, he points to Des like, where were you? It was visible in that place.
That's not okay. That's not okay. And I just – that's really disheartening. S27, Honduras will beat us 2-0. Defending was terrible. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully, if I'm Burhalter right now, I'm keeping these guys in the locker room for a good half hour to talk about this and to figure out what it is gone wrong with our mentality, because this was really not good. Okay. Now here's the other thing, guys. The tactic change that Switzerland made in the second half. Okay. And we didn't react to it. And this one's on Burhalter. The forwards started wide more in the second half, and the wide players came inside a lot more, and they had this pincer movement going on in order to disorganize our defense. And we couldn't react to it. The players on the field couldn't figure out what was going on, and I didn't see Burhalter make any tactical changes to it either. So that's not good. If teams can out-tact, and we've seen this from Greg before against Mexico in the Gold Cup final. Tata basically switched the wingers, and Greg didn't react to it. And from the minute they did that, he put Pizarro on the left to isolate Ream. And the minute they did that, it completely changed the game. And that's a concern I have about Greg Burhalter, is sometimes when the other team adapts to his tactics, he cannot adapt back. He's like a one tactic approach, and he doesn't adapt tactically to the game that's in front of him. And that was concerning for me to see. Okay. Julian Pinto, the blueprint to beat us is easy. Isolate the center back. Look, if I'm Honduras right now, I'm watching this game and saying, listen, we're going to stay very compact. We're going to frustrate them, because when they get frustrated, they turn on each other. Watch this, watch that. Their fullbacks will not drop back and defend. Let's release Romel Kyoto. Let's release, what's his name? Albert Ellis, Choco Lozano. Have them hit them on the counterattack, because they won't be defending, and then their mentality when things aren't going well for them, that is the mark of great players. Great players, when things aren't going well, they up their game. They come together. They find a way to still be successful. They don't drop their shoulders, start blaming each other, start calling each other out, stop trying. That's not good.
Pete, let me just address one thing in the chat so we don't get into this again like it happened in the Olympic qualifying. So I saw someone saying we can't be too negative. These are young players. Look, me and Pete are not being negative. It's the same story as the Olympic qualifying. Again, hopefully not with the same ending. We're not being negative. We're pointing out problems. It's mostly on Burhalter that we're pointing out, because all the actions of the players, it's up to Burhalter to come up to them. John, come here. Brooks, you're 28 years old. You're not supposed to be yelling at a 20-year-old Serginho Dest for not covering. Do your job, motivate him, complain after in the locker room. We can all fight after, but in the field, you have to be united and motivating each other, not pointing fingers. When the game is over, you can all yell at each other and but in the field, you got to be getting along. And it's up to Burhalter, which he is el capitano, captain of the team. It's the manager, the coach. He needs to lead the way. That's what we're pointing out. We're not being negative. I'm still very optimistic on this team. The talent is still there. We played a very tough team, by the way. But we can't let Burhalter just go by with his issues because we don't want to be harsh on him.
No, exactly. And guys, this is it. This is competitive game starting Wednesday. Like, whether this team is young, it doesn't matter. This is our team. So they are required to step up. Like, we have to treat them like the full internationals that they are, regardless of how old they are. This isn't a youth team, okay? This is our full national team, and there's a standard to play for the U.S., and we have to uphold that standard, and we have to talk about it. So, yeah, exactly. Look, like he said about John Brooks, and especially John Brooks blaming Dest when he got beat 1v1 and was way too casual to recover. So, you especially shouldn't be blaming other players when the play is on you. Yeah, if John Brooks gets isolated 1v1, I've said this before. I said this, that our defenders can't defend in isolation that well, right? And I think that part of, a back three might help that a little bit. I don't think Greg is going to use a back three. Okay. Mama Mia Sophia, what was with the defenders causing both goals with their terrible footwork? Yeah, the defending was not good. Particularly from the John Brooks, Serginho Dest side, even Reggie Cannon. I thought Mckenzie was actually one of the better defenders on the day. He got beat in the air a few times, but I thought that he was mostly solid. And for a 21-year-old playing, with this team for the first time, I thought Mckenzie was one of the more impressive players. Mm-hmm. But thank you, Mamma Mia. Another one up here from Akshay. I think the players don't respect Greg. I can't speak to that. I don't know. I think what the players are, I suspect, okay, and maybe this is premature. I suspect that these players are coming from playing at a high level in Europe, and they think, and they're very young, so they haven't had a lot of experience yet. They think that will automatically translate into success, but that's not the case, okay? That just isn't the case. You have to have the mentality to come along with it, and you have to have that I am here to give everything I can on the pitch every single time. And I just don't see that right now.
Can I also add to that one too? One thing I noticed when I played soccer, one of the issues we had with the team was we had played. So, for example, high school is a very low level when it comes to quality, right? It's for fun. So I had the academy I played for in high school. Because in the academy we had better players, better coaching. The coaches were much better as well. You would see a lot of the high school players in a very toxic way question the high school coach, which obviously wasn't never the proper coach and creator. So maybe some of these guys come from coaches that are fantastic in Europe and they go to Greg Burhalter, and obviously the respect does go down because they're like, what is this guy doing? I'm working with this.
Well, let me push back. We don't know for sure how the players feel about Burhalter.
Yeah, it's a guess.
It's a guess. We don't know that for sure. So I don't want to say that's definitely the thing. But when you look at systemic issues on the team, it's easy when it's two or three players who are not performing or don't seem to have the right mentality, you point the finger at those players. And we have in the past. I've called out Gio Reyna for this kind of behavior in the past, for example. But when it's the whole team, then I look over at the coach and go, what are you doing? Because this team doesn't have the right attitude, John Constantine, we have the talent, but we need a better coach. Look, guys, I'm going to wait and see how this Nations League shakes out, okay? This is a friendly. This highlighted some very strong issues that I think we need to address before we go into Nations League, and I hope we do, and I hope that Burhalter does. But I don't know. I don't know if this mentality thing is something that can be fixed instantly. Do you have any thoughts on this, Filippo?
I'll get back to that, but so I don't forget, one thing, you skipped Mr. Chair to go back in the Super Chat and your sponsor.
Yes. Mr. Chair. Where is Mr. Chair here?
He said Aaronson looked shaky today. That's what he said.
Yeah, Aaronson did not have a good performance. I thought he was trying too hard and sort of forcing things instead of playing in flow. And that's oftentimes he lost the ball because he was trying to do too much instead of just playing it simple. And yes, you have a very good point. Let me play the video from the sponsor. One goal.
One football.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I got the name wrong a few times.
Say that 11 Yanks has a new sponsor. OneFootball is an app that allows you to get all of your news, transfers, stats, and in-match updates from over 160 leagues in over 60 countries. I've been using this app for the last few weeks, and here's what I love about it. I can select the teams that I love, in this case, the USMNT, and with one click, I'll have access to all the news about the teams, statistics from past games, lineups, information about future games, as well as who is part of the roster. I can also do the same thing for specific players, select the ones that I want to follow, and I'll be able to track that player's data, performance, and stats throughout the season for both club and country. So check out the app, guys, OneFootball. Click the link in the description below to download the app directly and start getting all the information you need about the players and teams that you love. All right, so that's OneFootball. Link is in the description below, guys. Last chance. This is the last sponsorship video we have for this month, so go ahead and download it. Today's your last day to do that. Thank you again to OneFootball for sponsoring us. Yeah, look, I mean, we've said what we've had to say on this. Should we start talking about some of the individual player performances? Yeah, because that's important to talk about too.
We'll go one by one.
Yeah, we do have a quick super chat here from Joey Klein, which is another issue that we haven't talked about too much yet. What was the reason Wes and Dest played a full 90? I think based on Burhalter's comments, right, he's talked about wanting to prepare this team for a World Cup qualifying schedule. And while I think he has good intentions, I don't think that should be the focus right now. I think the focus should be on winning Nations League and beating Mexico and starting to win back some of the faith in the program that has been lost over the last few years by winning a trophy. Remember, they didn't qualify for the last Olympics in March. They didn't win the Gold Cup in 2019. This program still has to prove itself. Just because we have players in Europe, this program still has a lot to prove. Okay, and I think beating Mexico and winning Nations League would go a long way towards proving the program and saying we're on the right track, you know? So I'm surprised that Burhalter played the starters as much as he did, especially because, and I said this on Filippo's stream, if you look at Mexico yesterday, they rested all their starters. All of their starters were rested because Tata Martino wants to win the Nations League. But we're busy thinking about World Cup. It's like we're trying to fly before we can walk. First, we need to go win Nations League, not try to prepare for World Cup qualifying. Okay?
Let me ask you one thing. How exactly does this prepare for World Cup qualifying?
I guess to play devil's advocate, okay, Burhalter says we need to get into the cadence of playing one game in Europe and then 3 games in a week on the road. That's why we have the Costa Rica game at the end. So 1 and 3. And in principle, I understand what you're trying to do. The problem is 2 things. One, you do it one time. Maybe it helps the players get used to it a little bit. I don't think it's a massive impact. Oh, in the World Cup in September, we did this last time, so I know how this feels. Maybe it helps a little bit, just to be fair to Burhalter. But is the benefit of that experience greater than the benefit of losing to Mexico again, a 3rd time in a row, this time in the Nations League final?
Let me play devil's advocate back. If he wants to prepare European players for that, why did he play all the MLS players available besides David Ochoa? If you're preparing European guys, that's the goal, right? Let them play because they're already in MLS. Or is Sebastian Jetta, Costa, Neo going to Europe? So honestly, I think it's just a BS excuse. And if he does lose Nations League, he's just going to come out saying, yeah, it was to prepare. We reached our goal. We're prepared for the qualifying.
Yeah, and that's not good enough. We have to hold him accountable. We have to hold this team accountable for that. Losing Nations League again would not be okay. It just wouldn't. You can't lose to Mexico 3 times in a row. You just can't, you know? So I'm surprised that these guys got as much playing time as they did. Now, look, if Burhalter wins Nations League, fine. You clearly knew what you were doing. But if you don't, then these questions are going to come back to haunt you, right? About how tired were some of these players. That's a fair question. Plus, don't forget, this isn't just 3 games in a week. It's a transatlantic flight now. So now tomorrow, they've got to fly to Denver and play on Wednesday, okay? Chad Van Brunt, pedestrian performance. I am very concerned about the team chemistry. Champions League hangovers, especially concerned that Reina lacks connection with the rest. I don't think it's a Champions League hangover. I don't think
I think he's worried about Pulisic and Stefan Pulisic coming from a UCL hangover since he's celebrating tonight.
I mean, he's got 5 days. Pulisic is a professional. He knows he has and Pulisic wants to be successful at the USMNT. I have no worries about that. This performance was, to me, a mentally fragile performance because we looked good in the first half and then we were riding that momentum. But the minute things started to fall apart, we fell apart mentally. And that's what I think concerns all of us here. Let's go player by player. Let's start with the starting lineup, Filippo, and give our thoughts on how they performed today. We could do a 1 to 10 rating, 10 being excellent, 1 being awful, and just and then we can add to that. We can explain a little why we thought that. Let's start with Ethan Horvath.
I give him a 9.
Yeah, same. I mean, the only thing I wouldn't give him a 10 for
is he allowed 2 goals, but it wasn't his fault, but he allowed 2 goals.
No, it wasn't. I don't know. I almost give him a 9.5. I think he was excellent. He was good with the ball. His shot stopping was excellent. He came out and claimed crosses well. I didn't see any issues with him. He did what he had to do today and was very, very good. Really hope Ethan Horvath gets a move, this summer, which he will because his contract is up, but he needs to go somewhere where he's going to be the number 1. Okay? That's what he deserves. All right. Let's move on to Reggie Cannon.
Okay, let me try to be as fair as possible. I'll give Reggie Cannon around a 4, 3, 4. I think he was 5 being average. I think he was below average. That's
defensively, especially, he looked poor. And in the attack, apart from that one cross for Josh Sargent, he didn't offer a whole lot in the attack. So at least Serginho Dest, he's always going to offer you something in the attack, even if he's poor defensively. I didn't see that from Reggie Cannon today. I'm going to give him a 4. Okay. Let's move on to Mark Mckenzie, right? Mark Mckenzie, I'm going to start this time. I'm going to give Mark Mckenzie an 8. That seems high. I'm going to give him a 7.5 because outside of 2 headers, which I thought he was poor in. He didn't win 2 aerial headers in the first half that led to counterattacks. I thought he was mostly ball secure. I thought he mostly tried to cover up for some of the mistakes that the team was making. He was not perfect, especially in the second half. He had some moments where he looked a little shaky too. But considering everything, I'll give him a 7. That's 7 for him.
I'll give him a 6. And basically the same concept I used to Cannon. I think Mark Mckenzie was above average, 5 being average. I give him a 6. I don't have much to complain about him in the game, to be honest. Yeah, I know the headers and all that, but his passing was fine. He was reliable. 6. I'll give him a 6.
Okay. All right. Moving on to John Brooks. You want to start with John Brooks?
Yeah, I'll give Brooks a 3. I'll give him a 3. Do you want me to explain why real quick?
Yeah, no, go for it.
One of the reasons is expectation. I expect much more from him. He is a great center back, a very good center back. And I don't think he was a leader. I don't think he was that good. He did have one good long pass that almost resulted on a Weston McKennie opportunity. Besides that, he wasn't good in his passing, wasn't good in his positioning, offered a lot of opportunities to Switzerland, and wasn't a leader. I give him a 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to give him a 3 because I expect more from John Brooks. Greg Smith is saying I missed 2 super chats. Did I? I'm sorry.
Let me see.
After Chad, were there any that I missed?
I'm trying. Yes. Want me to read it here?
Yeah. How do I miss it? I'm not seeing it.
So the first one, before we continue, so we stopped at the center back here, and we're going to go to left back soon, Brooks. So the first chat is from Greg Smith, and he says, thoughts on Yellen. Thought he played with purpose and added toughness in a very limited time.
Yeah, didn't have a lot of. We'll get to Yedlin in just a second when we do the subs ratings.
There's one more. The other one's from Gideon Perry. I hope I said it right. Gideon Perry. He asked if Burhalter isn't the guy, who might be? Which we get asked that a lot.
Yeah, we get asked this a lot. We were asked this on Filippo's stream. It would have been Jesse Marsch for me, but right now Marsch isn't coming anywhere. And guys, again, Burhalter isn't getting fired. So it's very hard for us to start talking about replacements because he's not going anywhere. The only way Burhalter goes anywhere is if in World Cup qualifying we start, looking really bad and losing games. Then yeah, they'll probably fire Burhalter. Off the top of my head, I think Oscar Pareja is a guy who could do a good job. Maybe a David Wagner is somebody who could do a good job. Those would be two guys off the top of my head who I think could be immediate options. But I would have preferred Jesse Marsch originally. The truth is, guys, Burhalter's probably going to be around until the 2022 World Cups. Whatever we like or not like about him, I think it's unlikely we're going to be in danger of qualifying for the World Cup. And so that's on. I don't think he's going anywhere. Okay. All right. I'm with you. 3 for John Brooks. Poor in almost every aspect of the game. And I did not like his attitude, especially. That was the thing that bothered me the most. His casualness, his willingness to blame other people for his own mistakes, his lack of leadership, just poor across the board. Serginho Dest. I'm going to give Serginho Dest a 5 because I thought he was very effective going forward, but very poor going defensively. And you know what? 4. That's not good enough for me. I'm going to give Serginho Dest a 4. Yeah. You cannot be a fullback that refuses to defend. You can't. And I also didn't like when in the second half things weren't going well. Serginho Dest joined the finger-pointing brigade. Not good enough. What about you?
I'm going to be slightly more harsh on Dest because so many people have been complaining about him on defense, and he didn't seem to care today. So the reason I'm going to give Dest a 3.5 is I think he was a 7 on offense. He was pretty good on offense and a 0 on defense. Didn't do anything good on defense. And that second goal, what was that?
Yeah. It was lackluster. Very lackluster. And listen, the reason we're being so hard on these guys, I will not be as hard on you if you are trying but making mistakes. Okay? I give a lot of points for effort, but I do not give points when I see a lack of effort. That for me makes you go down in my estimation. Okay? So yeah, very poor from Dest. Jackson Ewell.
Jackson Ewell. You see, a lot of the times he was invisible in the game. I don't want to be too harsh on him, too. I don't want to give – I think, again, it's a player that was below average in the game. So I'll give him a 4.5.
I will give him a 5. I don't think Jackson Ewell was really tested. I thought when he had the ball, he was mostly good in possession. Now, he wasn't really pressed. He wasn't really under pressure when he had the ball. So it's hard to tell how he would, except there was one moment in the 9th minute where they pressed him and that led to a breakaway. But up until he was subbed off, I don't think he did anything too poorly. I don't think he was great. But I'm going to give him a 5. So average performance from Jackson Ewell.
Yeah, I'll keep him slightly below average, but we can't. He's not the player that I have more complaints about today.
No. Let's go into Weston McKennie.
So it goes back to what I was saying before the game with you too. I think Weston, it depends a lot on who's playing around him for Weston, and I don't think the players around him were the best for Weston. Overall, it's not like he did bad. He didn't do bad. He had a good chance with a long ball from John Brooks that he escaped well. I think Weston was slightly above it. I'll give him a 6. I think a 6. He was above average in the game.
Yeah, I'll give Weston a 6 because, again, he was effective in the attack. He was trying to do what he did. But there was that moment on the second goal where I didn't see him tracking back, and I didn't like to see that from Weston. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give him a 5 because as the captain, I expect better. Better. As the captain, when things are not going well, you're the leader on the field, right? You're the guy who's supposed to pull the team up and say, hey, guys, we got to stick together. We can't start turning on each other. What are the defensive responsibilities when we lose the ball? I didn't see that from Weston. So I'm going to give him a 5, even though I don't think he was terrible, okay? He did have a very nice ball to Weah. That Weah almost scored. It got blocked. That is true. Okay. Leggett. I'm going to give Leggett 7. I thought Leggett was pretty good today.
So I don't want to copy yours, but I'm going to give him a 7 too because I can't rate him below Weston today, for example. So I'll give him a 7. Scored a goal, almost scored a second goal too. His shot wasn't bad on that play, to be fair.
Yeah.
When he had the ball, he did what we expect from him. I don't expect him to break the line. I don't expect him to have creative passes. He didn't lose the ball that much. I give him a 7. He's also, as much as we complain about MLS, so I can't complain about Legit today. So,
but see, we don't complain about MLS. We complain about certain players who happen to play in MLS. There are other players in MLS who we really like, So, yeah, I thought Legit was pretty good. That's a 7 for me. Well, not pretty good, but decent to good. I would describe his performance
above average in the game.
Yeah, in the game, he was better than a lot of other performances today. Okay. Let's go to Brendan Aaronson on the left wing.
So I thought Brendan was good in the first half. I thought he was aggressive, going at the film, getting fouled a lot. But the second half was just not good. It was just not a good second.
Think he was good in the first half either. He had some decent moments. Mostly with what I saw from Brendan Aaronson today was trying to be Christian Pulisic, right? Mm-hmm. He needs to relax and just be himself, right? He is what he is, and when he plays the way he plays at Salzburg, he can be great. But it just felt too oftentimes when he got the ball, he wanted to force the issue to try to beat his man and really show what he could do instead of just staying calm and playing the correct, simple pass and then moving again. It just felt like he was trying too hard, and then oftentimes that would lead to him losing possession of the ball, which then hurt us. So I'm going to give Brendan 4.
I'll give him a 5. I still think the first half was. I do see your point. He did try to look like Pulisic, trying to go at the defender, which it wasn't his game in Philly. That's not how he was.
No.
But I like the aggressiveness. I saw him trying to. Looked like he gassed out in the second half. Second half was just terrible. Give him a 5.
I'll change mine to 5 because I think effort. We talk about effort. At least Brendan Aaronson tried, and oftentimes when we lost the ball, so often Aaronson would drop back and try and defend. So, I'm going to up him to 5 as well. He was a hustler today. I'm going to give him that. Real quick before we go into the other two, from Ken to King. If we lose Adams, this is the 3rd consecutive time he is unavailable when we need him most to help our defense. Unlucky, but I'm getting tired of this. Yeah, I mean, he was injured for a whole year, right? So that stopped him from participating in the Gold Cup and the group stage of the Nations League. And now he happens to be injured here. It sucks. Maybe he's back for Honduras. Honestly, I just want him back for Mexico because I think that's really where we're going to need him more than ever. But yeah, it does suck. And what sucks is that we don't have a good replacement for Adams. We don't have a good backup 6. Jackson Ewell is okay, as we saw today with the ball. We didn't really see him get tested too much, right, defensively. But he's not Tyler Adams, that's for sure, right? Maybe there are some other guys we should be looking at in the future, maybe a Leon Flach or a James Sands. Or, maybe Luca De La Torre plays as a 6. Or Eunice Musa. We haven't seen that tried either. I'd like to see it tried.
Played yesterday again.
Busio is another option at the 6. I don't know if he's as defensively strong as Adams, but maybe. Look, it does suck, Ken. I'm with you. It sucks. But we can't do anything about injuries except try to develop depth, right? Let's talk about Gio Reyna.
He's tough to rate. He's tough to rate in this game because you expect more from him. I didn't see the effort in him that I saw in Brendan Aaronson per se. I didn't see him do too much. He also had a couple flashes in a few moments. I can't rate him highly. But I don't want to say he was bad. You give him a 4?
Was bad. So in the first half, the best moments from Gio came where he came inside. And I know you and I have talked this one to death, but go watch that first half again. I'm going to go watch the game again, guys. But in the middle, he's very good. He dictates the game. He can make incisive passes. He controls. He's just wasted on the wing. But in the second half, then I didn't see any effort from him, right? I didn't see him take on, and now to be fair, he's 18 years old, but we're rating everybody on the same scale. If you're starting for the national team, it doesn't matter how old you are. You don't get a pass because of your age. If you're good enough to start for the national team and you want to start for the national team, then you have to be judged as a national team player, right? So I'm going to give him a 4 because while he has talent and while he has quality, I didn't see any leadership. I didn't see any hustle. I didn't see him stand out when things were not going well. So I still want to see Gio played in the middle, but today he was not good.
I'll give him a 4.5, a little higher, almost average. But yeah, the thing is, we also rate him based on how much we expect from Gio Reyna, and it's pretty big in the U.S. men's national team. We even rate him in possibly being our best player in the future. That's a possibility. So we will be a little more hard on his rating. I'm going to give him 4.5 to Gio.
Yeah. Josh Sargent. Let's talk about Josh Sargent, because my rating before Jordan Siebatcheu came on for Josh Sargent is different than after Jordan Siebatcheu came on. Like, for me, Siebatcheu did nothing today. Like, he came on. He didn't hold up the ball. He didn't press. He didn't combine. He didn't do. I was just like, what is this? I was mad at Josh Sargent because I thought Josh Sargent had some poor moments. But Josh Sargent also did a lot of good work off the ball, both with his off-ball movement and his hold-up play and with his pressing. And I want to give Josh credit for that. Even though he had some poor touches and maybe should have scored on the header, I want to give him credit for his hustle, which I didn't see from a lot of other people. So what do you give Sargent?
It's a good question. Just adding to Siebatcheu today too, it made me kind of ask, like, hey, can we call Burhalter maybe him consider DK? That's something different to body people. And also with the chances with Sargent, one thing I noticed is Josh Sargent needs to learn how to head the ball. There was two opportunities that it didn't look very good.
Well, the second one, he wasn't anywhere near the goal. So I don't know why he was trying to score. He should have been trying to flick it over.
He didn't flick it. He kind of headed it almost as if it was a defender cutting. It was like he was cutting it. And the other one he had, it was kind of weird. And that is worrying for a center forward. Center forward's heading is very important. DK has been pretty good at that on the championship. But I'm not saying DK to start. I still have Josh Sargent. But I expect more from Josh Sargent. The pressing game is something that you pointed out is something I like from him. He even got a nice steal in one play that allowed Leggett to almost score.
Yeah.
He held up the ball a few times. The thing is, and this is one thing, he's a center forward. So he does rely on the midfield being creative, the wingers being creative, and we didn't see that today. This is gonna be almost like some are gonna say I'm overhyping him. I'm gonna say Sargent was very average, but
I'm gonna give Sargent a 6.
I'm gonna give him a 5. I'm gonna say he's very, very average today.
Average, yeah, he was average today, but Sargent looked like one of the few people who was willing to press. His hold-up play was still good. How many times did we see Josh coming back to the ball, hold it up, lay it off, right? Could he have done better on the finish? Yes. Did he have a few moments where his touch let him down or where you could see him overthinking it? And I said this on your stream. Josh Sargent mentally has suffered from 2.5 years at Werder Bremen. He just has. That's just the truth. And is that a good excuse? No, right? But he needs to get over that lack of confidence, because when he's working hard on the field, which he does, and his hold-up play was still excellent today, I thought he was very effective. And I wasn't happy, but then I saw Siebatcheu come on, and it was worse, way worse. Like nothing from Siebatcheu. I mean, it was only 20 minutes, but I expected something in 20 minutes. I didn't even see Siebatcheu try, which is very surprising.
He seemed slow. He seemed slow.
He seemed heavy. He seemed like his off-ball movement. At least Sargent will always move for you off the ball, right? He'll always attempt something. I didn't see anything from Siebatcheu. So Sargent, I'm going to give him a 6 for the hustle, although he had good moments and bad moments. And that's where I'm going to leave it on Josh. All right, before we get into the subs, Aaronson and Gio have to be in the middle. There has to be 3 in the back. This team can't defend without Adams. There is no leadership without Adams, and Sargent has to score more. Burhalter was the worst. Okay, I agree with a lot of those things. Me and Filippo have been calling for Gio to play centrally many times, and for a 3 at the back. We've been calling for that too. This team can defend without Adams, okay? It's to say this team cannot defend is just not true. Defending is a mentality. It is a decision that you make. When we lose the ball, why are we not defending? Why are we not dropping back? Why are we too slow to press? Why are we too casual to mark, to drop into a defensive block on defensive transitions? We can defend better than we did. We might not be as good as when Adams is there, but we can be a hell of a lot better than we were today. And for me, that is a mentality issue. And that is something that if I'm Burhalter after this game, I need to hammer it into the team. If we do not defend better than this, we are going to lose games we shouldn't lose. So, and fragile, so mentally fragile when things are not going our way. Two big issues from today. All right, let's talk about the subs that came on. So the first subs to come on were Musa and Acosta and Ream, right? They were the first three subs to come on. What are your thoughts on Ream?
He can't be in the national team, man.
No, man, that was terrible. He only had half an hour on the field, and he was really bad for that half an hour.
So before he let me even try to help Tim Ream here. Before he came in, we were already having issues with John Brooks on that side of the defensive side of the field. He comes in, and it gets worse.
Yeah, so it got worse.
There was this through ball that he was slightly off position, so they were able to put that ball there. And his recovery was worse than his positioning.
Yeah. So his starting position was poor. His recovery run was poor. And the only reason it wasn't a third goal is because the Switzerland striker completely missed it.
Passing also wasn't that good today.
What? His passing was not good.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that was supposed to be his strong point, right? But I'm like, maybe we should just have Mark Mckenzie be Brooks's backup, if Brooks has to go out. So I'm going to give Ream a 2. I mean, maybe that's not fair for 20 minutes, but I didn't see him do anything well in those 20 minutes. 2 or 3. I'm going to give you 3 maybe.
I'll give him a 3 just to be nice and say he was below average. And then again, it has a lot. It's not even his fault. He's just old and not playing and slow.
He's no longer effective. He's 33. He's aging. Might be time for Ream to retire soon. Okay. Let's talk about Acosta.
Same as always.
I'm going to give Acosta great quality. Great quality. Great effort, low quality, right? Mm-hmm. Running around, trying to do the right thing. He didn't defend well on Switzerland's second goal, though. Let's keep that in mind. And that was the space that he was supposed to occupy, and he didn't drop back. So I'm going to be harsh on Acosta. He had a few good passes in the attack. There were a few moments where he got the ball and sprung a counterattack. But overall, the defensive side of his game was poor. I'm going to give Acosta 4.
Yeah, I'll give Acosta a 4 or a 3.5. He wasn't good. Silly fouls as always. Arriving late. Effort. Yeah. He puts in effort. He always runs a lot. He fights for the ball, but just the positioning is off. The technique is not there. The decision making is not there. Bad fouls. I'll give him a 4 as well, just not to be more harsh or anything, so no one says I have a Acosta agenda. I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, and to be fair to Acosta, he's not a 6, right? He's being played out of position. He is an 8. I don't think he's a particularly good 8, but you're also forcing him to play in a position that he is not, and that doesn't help. Eunice Musa, what were your thoughts on Musa?
It's not like he did too much, but I think he distributed the game fairly well, helped on defense, played as an 8 through the right side of the center of the midfield there. The thing is, I can't say he played super well. I think he was a little bit above average. I'll give him a 6. I'll give Eunice Musa around a 6.
Yeah, I'm with you on 6. You saw the effort. You saw what he was trying to do, but oftentimes it felt like there wasn't, when he had the ball, there wasn't a lot of off-ball movement around him, right? Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of people moving to support him, and so he ended up going alone and sometimes giving it away unnecessarily, but hard to fault his effort. There was a moment where they lost the ball and DeAndre Yedlin was out of position, or maybe it was Cannon, I don't remember, and the guy who came back to defend as a right back was Eunice Musa. And that was good for me to see. It's like, okay, well, see, this is Eunice Musa is doing what everybody else should be doing. So I'm going to give him a 6. Didn't have a whole lot of time, right? Robert Pesaturo, 6.3854777. Good to see you guys haven't lost your sense of humor. Okay, let's talk. Who was the other subs? Jordan Sibachu, Pifok. What do you give him?
Look, and these last ones that we're going to rate, we might be unfair a little bit because of the amount of time they played. Yeah, played less than 20 minutes, I think. So Sibachu, however you say it, I'm going to give him also around the same harsh rating I gave to the ones that didn't perform. I'm going to give him a 3. I thought he was very static. He looked heavy. He looked like, you go like to a barbecue with your friends and you just eat a lot and it's like, hey, let's go play some pickup. And then you're all like heavy. You can't run. That's what it looked like.
Coming on for the last 20 minutes to change the game. Okay, at least the least you can do is effort. He didn't press. He made Sargent honestly look really good because Sargent will press. Sargent will hold up the ball. Sargent will do all that. He's not always going to finish the chances, and it wasn't always going to be perfect. But yeah, I saw nothing from Sibachu. I'm going to give him a 2. Yeah. The lack of effort annoyed me too. Tim Weah.
So Tim Weah, effort was pretty good. He ran. He did like everyone ran, but he put in effort. There was this opportunity he almost scored. It was a nice pass, and I thought his touch was fine. He put the perfect touch for a finish. The defender was just very good on the coverage and was able to stop it. Besides that, he tried a few runs. There wasn't too much. Somewhat similar to what I said to Sibachu. There wasn't that much time, but I saw effort. I saw a player trying. I saw a player with some pretty good technique. I'm going to give him above average. I'll give Tim Weah a 6, a 6.5, something around that.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6, maybe. Yeah, 6.5 is fair, I think. We saw the effort. We saw him doing the right things. A lot of the stuff he tried didn't come off. But you have to remember, guys, what happens is when the whole team is just down, right? When the effort is poor, when the off-ball movement is poor, it's not easy to come into the game and change it. Or it's not easy to look for those passes from people, So, yeah, I'm going to be 6 is fine. Let's talk to DeAndre Yellen.
Too little time.
Very, very little time.
I think it's unfair.
I did see him try. He did try a couple of times. I saw him up and down the field, put a nice pass in, wanted to be involved, looked like he wanted to create something, and mostly was solid defensively. Except that one moment. I think it was actually when Musa was covering for him and he didn't drop back fast enough. But that's one moment I'm going to give it 6 to Yedlin.
Okay, since we have to rate everyone because I wouldn't rate him because of the amount of time.
I think he got 10 minutes.
Do I have to put a number? Can I rate him differently? Can I say something?
Sure.
I'll just say he was better than Reggie Cannon, the guy that started for him.
Right. Last rating, and probably the most important rating, is Greg Burhalter. On the day, what do you think we give him?
All right, let me start here. Bad. He played our starters too many minutes, and we have a game on Thursday. They're going to have to travel from Europe to Denver. That's far. I don't know if many people know that. It's very far. And traveling on a plane is tiring. It's also stressful nowadays with the mask, everything. It's tiring. It's a whole day that you lose. The players need to recover as well. That's a negative. Another negative is he showed signs that we might see a midfield on Thursday with Jackson Yu, Sebastian Lletget, and Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie doesn't work well with those players. We saw that today again, even though we said that before the game. It's not the right fit for him. Sebastian Lletget, he was fine today. I'll give him that. Jackson Yu, you already said everything we have to say about him. That's another negative in my opinion. And I think he lacked leadership from himself.
Yeah.
And that translated to the field.
And his inability to react in the second half to the tactical switches that Switzerland made was disappointing as well. So I'm going to give him a 2. I thought he was especially poor today. And I feel bad, guys. I feel bad coming into a live stream like this after a game. We've been very negative. What were the positives from today? Because there were positives. They might not have been a lot, but let's talk about them. The positives were in the first half, some of our attacking play looked very cohesive, right? That was good to see. If we can learn to keep that up, and against a good team like Switzerland, this wasn't El Salvador, right? This was a good team like Switzerland, and in the first half, we were definitely created opportunities, right?
We outplayed them. We could see the ideas. The problem was our reaction to adversity. When the adversity came, when the game started to change, our reaction was so poor. But we can hold on to the first half. And guys, let's hope that Burhalter can talk to these guys about what happened. Let's hope that guys within the squad can step up and admit that wasn't good enough. Let's hope that John Brooks can call himself out for some of his attitude during the game, because that was not good.
right? But this is a young team, and I hope that they can learn from what went on today because it's a good learning experience. Thankfully, this was a friendly. And what we learned is we have to be more focused on what happens when we lose possession because right now, nobody's taking responsibility, and it's a huge problem. Ethan Horvath was a bright spot. Ethan Horvath was a huge bright spot. He could be our number 2. It's between him and Matt Turner, right? So, yeah, that was very good to see. And Mark Mckenzie showed some good things, right? Mark Mckenzie showed some good things too. So those are other bright spots. Stephen Nagishi, am I wrong in thinking Sargent is becoming a lost cause? I don't know if he's going to be successful, even if he leaves Bremen. Okay. Just off the top of my head, Stephen, nobody's a lost cause at 21. Okay. 21 is a very young age to write anybody off. Okay. Sargent is not a lost cause. He has had 2.5 years at one of the worst clubs in the top 5 leagues for him to be at for his development. And that has clearly affected him mentally. Hopefully I'm not saying he's perfect or that he doesn't have things he can improve on, but even today in a supposedly bad performance, he did show some really good things. No, he's not a lost cause, at least not in my opinion. No. And no player is at 21, Stephen. He needs to go to a right environment where they believe in him, where he can get his confidence back. And he may never be an elite striker, but he's definitely not a lost cause.
Look, even Diego Lainez is not a lost cause.
No. In fact, Diego Lainez, while we're talking about him, yesterday was very good against Iceland, I thought. I watched the Mexico game, and I thought that Diego Lainez was very good. I would have liked to see some Matthew Hoppe today. He's another forward option that could have offered something, but for some reason, he didn't get on the field. So, look, guys, this is a friendly. We can hold on to that first half and be happy about some of the really good things that we saw, but we also need to be aware, and I know the argument to what we're saying is this team is still very young, and you're right. They are very young, and that's why we believe that they can overcome these mentality and attitude issues, but that has to be the focus right now. Between now and Honduras, I'm talking about that mentality issues, and they have to step up and be leaders on the team, and Burhalter has to take responsibility for the way that this team played in that second half. Any other thoughts, Filippo?
First, I want to add to one of your thoughts. So you said we outplayed Switzerland. And remember, guys, we outplayed Switzerland, a team that qualifies to the World Cup in UEFA, the strongest federation in soccer, without our best player, Christian Pulisic, and without one of our best midfielders, Tyler Adams. And we outplayed him in the first half. That was quite clear. And yes, those were the best players in Swiss team. Maybe they're missing 1 or 2 players, but the vast majority was there. We outplayed them. Second half was not good. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I'm going to call this out right now, because I have seen this in the past with different national teams and clubs, especially national teams. When things are going well for this specific U.S. men's national team, we play some very good soccer, very good ball movement, very good chances created. The players are confident, they're smiling. When things don't go their way, it gets worse. It's like a snowball. So what I'm going to say right now is Honduras is very inferior to the U.S. men's national team from a technical standpoint. So if Honduras scores first, I think we can come back. If we play Mexico and they score first, we are not coming back. And if we play Mexico and we score first, we're going to roll over Mexico. Expect a 2-3-0 win if we score first. If Mexico scores first, we're in trouble. We're going to have the mentality is going to go down. They're going to get scared. It's what I'm noticing. And I've seen this from different teams. I've seen it a lot from Argentina in the past. A lot of teams from Argentina.
People don't understand how huge mentality is to a national team's success, guys. Mentality is so crucial, and that's why we're being so negative. Mistakes can be made, right? Especially with a young team. Tactical mistakes, technical mistakes, they can be made. And I'm not going to punish you too harshly for that. Like, I'm not going to come down hard on mistakes. What I will come down hard on is your reaction to those mistakes. If you take responsibility for the mistakes and you shake it off and you up your level and your performance, that's good to see. But if your reaction to that mistake is to hide or to blame somebody else or to get frustrated or to let it completely affect your confidence, that's where I have an issue with you, right? We're better than that, and we have to be better than that. And Burhalter and the team needs to make sure that we are going into this Nations League, or congratulations to Mexico. They're going to have another trophy. Quick question from Andy Garcia. What dual nat do you want to see recruited next? Ooh, good question. There are a couple of options right now. There's Florian Balogun, right, who's playing over at Arsenal. I haven't seen a lot of him, so I don't want to comment on him too much. He's not playing a whole lot for Arsenal, so I don't know how good he is. There's a gentleman who plays as a forward for, is it Union Berlin?
Yeah, it's he plays for Union Berlin. It's
Sanogo, Malik Sanogo. Malik Sanogo is another option that we could maybe be looking at. There's Alex Maitin, but I mean, I don't think he's going to support us. I think
he plays for Pulisic's position too. He's a left
wing. And he's very interested in playing for England. He's English. I don't think he's going to come. More important than,
Justin Che.
Justin Che. I mean, I guess we are already recruiting him if we're bringing him into camp. So that's good to see. But it's not over, right? Justin Che, hopefully maybe we call him into the Gold Cup, see what he can do there.
Jonathan Gomez. That's something.
There we go. That's honestly the biggest one for me, is because Jonathan Gomez just got called up by Mexico to train with their first team. And that's not good. Now, I have a source close to Jonathan that says he prefers the U.S., but no one's going to turn down a senior team call-up, okay? He's currently playing for Louisville City. He's a dual national, and he's probably going to be in Europe by his 18th birthday. So definitely, and he's a left back. That's the main thing. We need left backs. So,
Pete, what about the one that they're saying here? So the Kick Puri that I talked about, we interviewed him at the channel. He's a lefty center back that can play left back and center back. He's very technical. He started for 20 all season at age 21. He belongs to Ajax. He'll stay in 21 more season in the Dutch league. I think it's an option to at least give him a call. It's like, look, Tim Ream is not reliable anymore. John Brooks, he's fine, and he's our best center back, but we've seen that he can be shaky at times, and he's not getting any younger over the years, obviously. Yeah. He's at his prime. So Kick Puri is an option to maybe, hey, Kick, come in here.
Yeah, I haven't seen Kick Puri play, so I don't want to comment on him too much. It's hard for me to comment on a player if I haven't really seen them play. Lee Woodcock, definite transition was bad all day, and isn't that a huge part of the CDM role? Thus, can you please explain why you are all rating Yule so highly? Did we rate Yule highly? I don't think we did.
It was a 4 or 4.4.
We gave him a 5. Did we give him a 5?
I gave him a 4.5, I think.
I don't think we rated Yule particularly highly, but you have to remember, most of the first half, we were fine with the defensive transitions. And that's when mostly Yule was playing, right? Once Yule came off the field is actually when we started giving up the most of defensively. So it wasn't all on Yule. Although I don't think Yule should start at the 6 for us necessarily. I don't think he was great today by any means, but I don't think he was bad. I don't think we should be rating him as like bad, like terrible compared to some of the other guys. Ice Wallow Comb. Do you guys think Mark Mckenzie did a solid job today, considering we haven't seen much of him? And I was shocked to see him flourish in the first half. Yeah, like we rated Mark Mckenzie pretty highly because we think he did mostly well. He was one of the defenders that actually looked like his job was to defend. He had some moments where he was not great, but yeah, I thought mostly Mark Mckenzie was very good, considering this is his first game with this senior team. Yeah, I'm with you. Mark Mckenzie was a positive to take out. We probably have to get going here soon, but before we do, guys, quick takeaways from the team. When we're doing well, when we have the ball, when we're in the attack, when we have momentum going, we're great. When adversity comes, our reaction is very, very poor. When the opponent changes their tactics to adapt to us, very poor. Very poor. Okay? What is going on? I'm missing something.
They're making fun of you because you read the name.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like,
look at the things Pete does for $5. Look at the things.
Jesus Christ, guys. Okay, very funny. Ha. We probably needed that after a rough afternoon. Yeah. So yeah, guys, look, those were the poor takeaways. Our reaction to adversity was poor. Our tactical adaptation was poor. Our defensive responsibilities and defensive transition were poor. The positives, this team looked very good when we had momentum in the attack, and Ethan Horvath was very good. You guys all have a great day. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking to us. We're sorry to be negative, but we are going to be honest about how we feel about certain issues and try to be, because this is what accountability looks like, right? It looks like being critical when the team deserves criticism. So Hopefully this is not going to carry over into the Nations League. Hopefully they're going to sort it out. We still have a very young team to be very excited about. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome tournament, I hope. Thanks for watching, guys. We will talk to you on Thursday, right? Thursday's the game? Mm-hmm. Thursday. We'll see you all on Thursday. Have a great rest of your happy Memorial Day weekend. Thanks to everybody to the super chat. For those of you who want more info on the game, I'm putting a video on Patreon tomorrow with game clips discussing some of these things. So more of a demonstration of what went wrong or what went right even. I'll see you guys there. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next time.